All right, everyone. Welcome to day 7 of RGV Startup Week, third annual RGV Startup Week. Give it a round of applause. This next panel is really cool because it showcases the ingenuity, the talent, and the need and desire of how you can build a great business right here in Brownsville. I remember when I first moved back here about 9 years ago, the only spot you could get coffee was Starbucks, and personally I hate Starbucks. I know some people like it. But I was so happy when 7th and Park opened, and then from there we have a plethora of amazing local coffee shops. So I think the title of this panel couldn't be better, Puro Coffee, Puro Brownsville. I would like to introduce the moderator who's going to introduce the esteemed panel we have here. He's a good friend and mentor of mine. He has shaped downtown as well as the grants and programs and influences that have created such an ecosystem here. Please give it up to our moderator, the Director of Development for Origo Works, Ramiro Gonzalez.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for supporting RGV Startup Week. I think this is the third year. It only gets better every year. We at Origo Works, we're a full-service real estate and design firm. And so we like to think that any business, really, one of the first decisions that you think about, whether it's a pop-up or whether it's about real estate. It's about location. And so that's why we kind of like to participate in here, because we think entrepreneurship, one of the first things you decide is where you're going to set up. And so we invited 3 panelists this afternoon. They all have great insights. So furthest from me is Graham Sevier. He's the owner of 7th and Park, avid cyclist. Jimena Chacon, Oro Verde, and I'm excited to get her thoughts on matcha and what that means, because that's not something that I do. And we invited someone from our sister city across the border, Corralillo Café, and this is Sergio. So welcome, thank you all for being here. I'll set the stage for a conversation. Really, the inspiration of this panel is because, if you all are on social media, one of the first things, when I see Brownsville Online posting about another coffee shop, all of the comments are, another coffee shop? Is it coffee shops and car washes? That's all, and so really why? I always ask myself, why are there, how much coffee can one community drink? And so, because I really think about, I think not only about the trendy coffee shops, right? I also think about like my dad. My dad's been, drinking coffee at Whataburger for the last 35 years from 8 to 9:30. How many people are those, right? I mean, so it's not only the coffee shops that we know as young ones, right? It's everybody else that drinks coffee at McDonald's and everything else. It's, man, this is a lot of coffee in Brownsville being drank. And then you got the matcha oncoming, and we'll get into that. I'll set the stage. Further set the stage. I remember being in Brownsville, being a high schooler in Brownsville, and the coffee shop back then was Puro Café. I don't know, maybe somebody remembers that, but it was at Palm Village. It was kind of that trendy bohemian 99, 2000 coffee shop. And then the next thing I remember, it's kind of Hueso de Fraile. That was kind of like the second one. And then Graham was right behind that. And so, Graham, I was with you. I saw your progress. You started at the farmer's market. Talk to us a little bit about, I know you chose to set up right across the street. That was a very thoughtful thing. You went through a lot of options. So talk to us a little bit about your experience with coffee. Why do you think Brownsville drinks that much coffee? But also, why did you choose your location?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for the introduction and the timeline. I'm happy to be here. Like Ramiro said, I'm the owner of 7th and Park. If you don't know, we're right across 7th Street from Linear Park, right near the zoo, all that little section of town. And we did get our start at the Brownsville Farmers Market, and that was pretty intentional. When we did that, we didn't have a location selected. But like you mentioned initially, that's really the primary concern. Besides the product, it's the location. So when I moved to Brownsville, I knew that I wanted to open 7th and Park. Didn't have a name yet, but I knew I wanted to have bikes and coffee. Those are the two things that I really liked, and those are the two cultures that I really wanted to help, I say, facilitate. Give people a place to go to take part in both the coffee culture and the cycling culture, and the overlap that exists between those two, because there's a lot of overlap. When we were at the farmers market, we were there for about a year and a half. The main reason for that was to introduce ourselves to customers and introduce customers to what we were doing, to what we call third wave coffee. It's like the kind of modern presentation of coffee with lighter roast than previously used, and latte art and all that good stuff. Some of my best friendships and best customer relationships started at that farmer's market, so I really have a big appreciation for that. While we were there, we saw a for sale sign being put up at 1554 East 7th Street, right? It used to be, maybe some of our longtime Brownsville residents remember a place called Mr. T's Car Wash. That's what it was before it was a vacant lot, and now it's 7th and Park. So when we were selling on Saturdays, we got to say, we're building a coffee shop right across the street, and I would point over my shoulder. And we got to share that progress from being totally wiped clean, to pouring foundation, to framing out, to interior work and all that. So the reason that it worked out so well is because as a bike shop, we wanted it to be accessible by trails. And a lot of the work that you, Ramiro, and your predecessors did to get that railway turned into a hike and bike trail really came into fruition when we targeted that location. In evenings, every day of the week, we see people coming in with their dogs or their strollers or their bikes or whatever, because you give people a destination that's not too far out of reach. They can hop on the trail and go anywhere from 8 to half a mile to get to us. Since then, there have been more bike lanes added, and the one-way streets in this part of town are super helpful for people to navigate with bikes and skateboards or whatever else it is. Starting from a vacant lot really helped us, because we got to make the building what we wanted. We knew we wanted something that blended well with downtown, with the historic Brownsville buildings, but also had the modern amenities. So we used Brownsville brick architecture and used that as an inspiration for our exterior, but got to lay out the inside how we wanted to really help people feel comfortable and make sure everyone was welcome. Everyone from the Whataburger breakfast crew to first-time coffee drinkers to, coffee nerds visiting from other cities, whatever it is, we want to make sure people can have their experience in our space and enjoy what we'd like to present to them.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you for that. A common thread, Jimena, I see you pop up at the farmer's market. I mean, to be honest, you have a cult following, because every time you pop up, there's like 200 people in line on a Saturday waiting 30 minutes. So, talk to us about talk to us about matcha, right? Talk to us about, is matcha going to take over coffee at some point? I don't know anything about matcha, right? So just talk to us about that. Talk to us about what inspired your idea. I know now you have your own matcha that you're selling, and people are buying that. So just kind of go through your story and introduce Oro Verde.
Yes, for sure. So Oro Verde Matcha Bar was really founded at my house, in my kitchen. It started with me just making matcha every single morning and loving it. Then I started making it for my friends and my family, and it gained a lot of attention. They were like, this is really good. You need to put this product out there. And then I started learning more about the powder. It interested me so much, knowing the origin of it, how it can only, the best quality of matcha powder has to be grown in Japan. And, learning that matcha is a finely it's like finely grounded green tea, and you're getting all the properties that your typical green tea would have, but more. And it's equivalent to 2 espresso shots, but you're getting all of the health benefits too. So there's a big wellness side to matcha itself that I would incorporate in my mornings. And so really, the idea came from me wanting to use my marketing background to creating something for myself, something from scratch, something that, you know, I was passionate about, using my skill sets and my passions to really start something new and different, and most importantly, niche. I knew that there wasn't a matcha bar in town and anywhere near me, really. I would look it up online, and it was very much coffee shops would offer matcha. And I was like, well, what if I start a coffee cart and I sell matcha and coffee? And I was like, you know what? Let me stand out a little. Let me create something so niche where I can target a specific audience, which was matcha drinkers, but also those wanting to get into matcha drinking. Because right now, I mean, matcha has gained a lot of popularity, but last year it was like, I wouldn't say new, but it was rising. It was, people were wanting to get into it, people knew about it, and I was like, do I do it or not? So I went ahead, started Oro Verde Matcha Bar. There was a very high demand in the actual powder from Japan. Tea farmers in Japan were just going crazy, not knowing what to do with Americans wanting such a large amount of matcha powder. So these tea farmers, you know, they were having to tell their customers, like, we can't get you matcha powder until July, and it was February. So that's how I came up with the name. You know what? This is literally green gold. It is very expensive right now. And I somehow was able to find a supplier over there and talk to them, being like, hey, I need 2 kilograms of matcha right now. Like, I'm starting up my business, help me out. So I kind of just started with like just boxes coming in and doing the matcha, and I had a little table set up in my kitchen, being like, this is how it's gonna go, this is how it's gonna be most efficient. And it was kind of that thing where I was like, I wanna do it, and I've always told myself, like, you know, just do it. What are you doing to get there, right? So I ordered cups, I ordered stickers, I ordered all the supplies needed. I did all my like initial costs, expenses, and I went ahead and just set a date. But again, I go back to like why I started and how it all came about. And I was very passionate about marketing. I have a background in strategic communication and digital media. So I wanted to input all of those skills and talents in my brand, really. So there's a whole power of brand image and marketing behind starting something so strategically. And I think that's where Oro Verde was born, behind all my passions and skill sets. And then I remember setting out, posting like, something's coming, and everyone was like, what's Oro Verde, what's Oro Verde? So, you know, you kind of start creating hype around town. You know, there's this hype, there's this exclusivity, there's this niche. Like, what do you mean? They don't sell coffee, they just sell matcha. So I think it was something very new coming into town, where I filled in the gap of providing the best high quality matcha in town, with different flavors, rotating menus, with a fun branding, wanting to engage with my community. So yeah, that's where
you
it all
found
started.
matcha, didn't you? You never thought, like, you know, I guess you moved back to Brownsville, but you never really thought you were going to be in the matcha business. This isn't.
No, absolutely not. I thought it was just something fun I did at home.
That's cool. That's a great story, and I think that's the beauty of having a strong farmers market. I think I've seen a lot of businesses kind of pop up and start there, and then grow into, you know, a bigger thing, right? A permanent space like Graham. And so we'll come back with some more questions. Sergio, thank you very much for kind of trying to agreeing to participate. I did reach out to a lot of coffee shops, and I don't know if this is a thing, but they're kind of shy, right? So a lot of them said no. or no, they're busy or this and that. And so I got to thank Sergio for coming in, and otherwise we would have had another empty seat. But he does add, Corralillo Cafe. I met with him a couple of days ago. He was telling me, hey man, we have 4 locations in Matamoros. I have 37 employees. It's a whole operation that he's got. I know there's so you have 4, and I know there's a couple of other places like Pluma and this and that. So Sergio talked a little bit about us of Corralillo, and kind of give us a glimpse into. I go to Matamoros. Maybe some people do. I haven't actually ever had coffee in Matamoros. I have to do that. But give us a little glimpse into. Is Matamoros, do we have that same demand? Do we have that is it, what's going on in Matamoros, and how do you feel about that?
So I think.
And tell us about Corralillo first.
So well, to start, Corralillo started with 3 friends that met one day. We were having a couple of drinks, and I've always dreamed about having a coffee shop. I think since I was probably in college here, my sister's there recording right now, but I think she was hating me because I had plenty of coffee equipment in my house. Actually, this time that I moved out, she was like, hey, when are you going to get all your stuff out of here? Because you have just a lot of stuff. And Corralillo started like that, right? We were having some drinks, had an idea. Then the next day, we just say, you know what, let's start looking for locations. Fair enough, like one of the things that we were lucky enough is that my neighbor in Matamoros, where my parents live, she had a location in 14th Street, which is not one of the main streets the main streets in Mexico are probably the Sexta, Lauro Villar, but this is an artery, an area that people always usually take, right? And for us, that was a perfect location, right? We're next to one of the most popular bars in town as well. So we said, you know what, I think this is the location. We started with a really small shop, very limited budget. I was in my case at that time, I was working full-time here in the United States for a nonprofit organization. My partners were also working as well. They had their own businesses, so we were pretty busy. And we started with 3 employees over there. 1 in the morning, me helping them as well in the morning, sometimes working from home, coding from home. And also in the afternoons, we had the other 2 employees that were helping us out, and obviously we were also there doing all of the stuff. But it started like that, and part of our inspiration was also the coffee shops. I like to travel. Like I said, I love coffee. I used to live here in Brownsville for probably 15 years before opening my business over there, and one of the inspirations, basically, Graham was probably one of my inspirations when he opened in Seventh Park. I used to study there a lot. There was no place like that in Matamoros. There was 2 locations before us. There's still 2 locations, and I do have to give them credit over there, which is Bago Negro and Viaggio Cafe, which they pretty much started the coffee trends in Matamoros. We came in, we saw that there was a lot of demand for coffee. We had Starbucks, obviously, as well, but no of the locations had like a quick service, quick coffee, quick sandwiches, stuff like that. So that's how we started, and it's been a challenge right now, as Ramiro said. We've been growing. We never let our guard down. We've always tried to improve, have better equipment, and it's been a single battle every single day because of that, right? But it's something that we love to do. We love to offer that service in Matamoros and continue to expand, right? It's been, like I said, it's been a challenge, but I think we've been there. We're really happy with what we have achieved. We never thought that we were going to grow as fast and as much as we did right now. So we're pretty excited. Hopefully later on, we don't know if we're going to come over here, go to another city, or open another location in Matamoros, but we're more than happy to continue growing and continue to offering our services there. And another quick thing that we wanted to offer, and I forgot about that, is offer the Mexican coffee beans. We feel like there's not enough credit for coffee from Mexico, so we try to change our coffee beans frequently. At least 2 or 3 times per year, we change our coffee beans. Right now, the one that we have is from Colima. We've had from Puebla, Oaxaca, Chiapas. So we've always tried to vary and try to have different type of coffee beans so that people can try as well. And so it's pretty interesting. And like I said, I think similar to a matcha, and maybe also Graham is going to see that the coffee beans have been going up in value a lot lately. So having a steady provider, it's really difficult right now in Mexico, but it's something that we're still managing, and hopefully we're going to continue getting more coffee beans as well later on.
Cool. How long have you been open out there?
We've been open for 5 years already in Matamoros. So we opened in the pandemic.
The original, and then the other one.
Yeah, the original, the 14 and the 14th Street, we opened in basically when the pandemic stopped. I don't know why we were crazy to open that day. It was the worst time to open a business, but we decided to give it a go. We started with a small location, then we basically expanded the location. There was another business next to us, so they ended up leaving, and we ended up opening up the space to that area, and then we opened a little area on the outside as well. Then we had the Corralillo on downtown as well, near the municipal building.
Cool.
In 6th Street, and the most recent one that we have is in Plaza Fiesta, which is basically the mall from Matamoros that we have there as well.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll open it up. What do you all think, so in trying to find a speaker, I went to probably the newest one in town, and it's called Cure. It's over where, it's over where Palm Court used to be, or in the Boca Chica area. And I walked in and I said, this is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, who's going to be there, right? It's just new, it just opened. I walked in, opened the door, full. I couldn't find a seat. And I was just, good for them, great. But, what do you think it is? What do you think it is about this is an open-ended question, the culture? Is it kind of a special culture we have here in Brownsville? Is it something that you all see in Matamoros? Is it? I just think, are we the exception to the rule, right? Or is this happening, all across the country? Because, if you ask me, man, once we go back to this, there's a lot of coffee shops per capita here. And they all seem to have their own their following, and I asked these people yesterday or 2 days ago, I said, hey, how did you all start? And, I was shocked. They said, we just started delivering coffee. And I said, oh, well, you did DoorDash or this, that, and the other. And they're like, no, we didn't do any of those services. We did just straight Instagram. And I said, oh, wow, wow. And then it obviously led to a business. So what do you all think? Are we the exception to the rule with this many coffee shops? And then I'll just leave it open-ended there.
Sure. I think that the Valley and Matamoros has a really strong coffee culture. I think that we benefited. A lot of times we're a little bit behind the ball on trends. I think that helped us in this case because we got to see some of this third wave coffee develop a little bit in cities like Austin. I got into coffee in Dallas when I was going to college up there and immediately started working in the first independent espresso bar coffee shop that opened. So I think we got to see some of that develop, and I think we got to put our own spin on it. I think a lot of the shops here, and the people on the stage with me included, have really strong and unique branding, and I think that that's one of the benefits of coffee. You can express it however you want. People can identify with the coffee shop that they most attach themselves to, or that is closest to them, or whatever. Everyone has different considerations when they're choosing their home coffee shop, right? Or their matcha, or whatever the case may be. And I think that we are so far from other cities physically that we get to develop our own personality. I hear a lot when people come in that 7th and Park has a very Austin vibe or a very Denver vibe or whatever, but that's the identity that we kind of developed, that people attach to us. But even in the Upper Valley and Matamoros now too, it's just the personalities get to come through in how we present it. And you, with your marketing background, you considered the matcha and the branding at the same time. I think a lot of people do that. They have their own unique merch, their own unique social media presence and stuff like that. And I think that's easy for people to access. And that's really the identity. And that's where it comes in. I think there is a difference in the quality of coffee and the way it's served, but you can't separate it from the brand identity and the image and the vibe. There's so much aesthetic attached to coffee, and matcha is a beautiful drink, right? So I bet at least 70% of the drinks you sell get posted immediately. The camera eats first. And and people want that. That's part of the expectation that people have with coffee now. So I think that will continue to evolve, and coffee and matcha drinks and all these different products are so variable. You can do it so many different ways, and different cultures have developed them, and different recipes and different backgrounds that there's always something new that hasn't been tried, or something that you can introduce people to. So I think that will keep coffee shops open, and they each kind of have their own lane without overlapping too much.
On the matcha side? On the matcha side?
Yes, I think it's very
You
interesting.
could also talk about coffee. I mean, it's totally fine.
Yes, coffee too. Just seeing like the generations, like the trends change. You know, I talked to my grandma and she was like, I want my hot cup of coffee. Don't give me the matcha. Like, I want my hot cup of coffee.
Like Puro Folgers or
Right.
something.
And nowadays, we're seeing the rise of popularity with dessert-style drinks. So people want to see a churro-flavored matcha. People want to see a cookie butter coffee. And talking about Cure, they're very much a similar style to my matcha. You have the foam top and your topping, and that's intriguing. And that, I mean, for my generation, maybe for other generations too, it's like you want to snap a picture on Instagram and post it on your story. So that's free word of mouth. You know, you're not paying for that marketing. It's all word of mouth. And that for Oro Verde, organically, I grew my following that way. Snapping pictures of the aesthetic drinks, like you said, it's all an aesthetic nowadays, and that's how you gain that following, you gain that audience that wants to get in line for your drink. But also, most importantly, you need to make sure that the quality is at a standard. It's quality, aesthetic, and branding overall is like the secret recipe to those lines, I guess.
That's cool.
I think just to add up a little bit more there, the new generations help a lot as well. Like Jimena said, my grandma also wants really hot coffee, and even we see older generations come into Corralillo, we always tell our baristas, like, make sure that their coffee is going to be hot enough. It's not going to be like younger generations where they're going to taste it and everything. They just want really hot coffee. If not, they're going to complain.
Or they don't even want it that strong. I know my mom's like,
Oh, yeah.
no, échale agua.
And if it's too hot, échale un hielo. But also the newer generation, something that we've seen so far is that it's not like before that, like probably my generation, that we used to go out to bars and stuff like that. Now we've seen a lot of newer generations that don't go out to bars. They'll go to get a book into a coffee shop, and they'll be there until late. That's the way they're going to be socializing, and they'll be there for a long time as well. But I did see that a lot of newer generations stop going to bars, now start going to matchas as well, or even coffee shops. They continue to do that nowadays. So I think that helps a lot. I mean, at least in our case, we close at 10 p.m., and 10 p.m. for us, people are drinking coffee at that time, and it's packed for us at that time. I don't even know how they drink coffee at that time, but I can't sleep if not.
Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, I remember, you know, I went to school in D.C., and I feel like I start to age myself, but, you know, Brownsville didn't have a Starbucks then. And so, well, first I arrived, this is 2001, you know, everybody over there, shit, I mean, they all knew, like, so I would walk into a Starbucks and they'd be, you know, can I have a soy matcha latte, this, that, the other? That's not on the menu, guys, right? Like, you know, and so I learned quickly, but yeah, that's an interesting tidbit. So we have a strong coffee culture, you know. What do you all see? What do you all see as the future for Brownsville? Is it? And then we'll ask about real estate here in a little bit. But you know, are we going to continue to see more expansion? Is it going to continue? Is there going to be a point where, it's going to absorb? The absorption rate is going to lower. And then the other question is, I guess, Grammy, you alluded to it a little bit. There's kind of, and I think Jimena as well, there's kind of a loyalty factor, right? Like, you kind of, you know, you walk in and they know your name, they probably know your order, and I think that's strong. But yeah, talk to us a little bit about what you think about where the future heads, where we go from here.
Sure. I think that there is a kind of a tipping point where there's a saturation rate. Like when you're pouring sugar in your iced tea, at a certain point it stops dissolving, right? I think that the population of Brownsville and Matamoros have grown so much where they can kind of support what I'll say are neighborhood coffee shops. So it's on the way for people on their way to work or school or whatever it is. So it's more convenient. And you see that in places like Austin, where there's enough choice, they can end up choosing what's most convenient. I think, like you mentioned before, in the last 2 years, people have either opened a coffee shop or a car wash. So like, I think we're close to saturation, but I mean, people keep coming up with new creative ways to do it. And I think what's important about what we do is that it's all driven by passion, right? I sell coffee because I love coffee, and I've really taken interest in it, and I want to do it well and present it well, just like my fellows up here on the stage. As long as that passion exists, there will always be people who want to do that. They want to follow their passion and sell coffee. There's definitely loyalty. People probably have their favorite coffee shop and their second, third, whatever. But we do share a lot of customers too. And I think that's great. I think that's essential. And I think that that's another good quality about the coffee scene here. I think that all the other shops, most people can identify the owners. They make themselves available. And I think that's what helps create customer loyalty, is that availability and that approachableness and just that engagement with the community and with the business. That's what's important to me, and I've seen other owners in newer places approach it the same way, and I think that's great. I think a lot of us have each other's phone numbers. We know each other by name. We see each other, and it's a very friendly business. I've tried to stop by new shops when I can and say, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. If your coffee gets delayed in shipment or your cups get delayed, or if I have matcha and you need it, let me know. I'm happy to help you, and they return the same. And we've had to call in favors like that before, and it's great.
And I just thought about something. Is kind of the growth in coffee shops, this is my observation, is it because it's kind of a low barrier to entry? Like there's not necessarily, observing, there doesn't seem to be a ton of cost there.
It can be, and that the market has grown a lot. So when I first bought my first commercial grade espresso machine, there weren't many machines on the market. I bought a used, La Marzocco was the brand. Since then, there have been even American companies that have entered the market, a lot more Italian, Spanish companies that enter the market. And then that interest has also seeped into a very specific home barista market. So a lot of people get their own experience that way, and they can really make professional quality drinks and really experiment with their own recipes and their own syrup flavors and things like that. So that barrier of entry has gotten a lot more approachable, and same thing to accessing customers. You mentioned Cure started off with their model being direct to customer delivery. The farmers market is a fantastic way to kind of incubate your idea and get customers, but yes, I think you're right.
What's the future of matcha? Do you want to create a headline out of here? Do you want to tell us you're going to go brick and mortar? Or you're going to set up shop? I don't know.
Well, I think
anything.
You're seeing the future of matcha, like right when you walk into Starbucks too, and all of the advertisements and are matcha. Like coffee shops right now are trying to promote their matcha more than ever because of the rise of popularity. But the future for Oro Verde, I don't know. I think as I'm navigating my own life right now, I'm continuing to be pop-up based because I'm wanting to shift to the retail space of selling my own matcha powder and with my own brand through my online shop and in person. So right now I'm kind of navigating that while I'm trying to continue my pop-ups because I do love engaging with my community and seeing it grow. My dream ultimately, right, is to open up. It's been officially a year of Oro Verde being open, and I've just loved seeing it grow, and I think it has a potential of opening up a space. I just think that right now is not my moment, and that's okay. But I do, like Graham was saying about saturation with everything, and if coffee shops and matcha bars and everything continue opening up, I think it's important that the ones that were up there first don't stay behind. That's where innovation is very important, and they have to stay up to trend. And if that's social media, that is social media. Invest in the social media, invest in the content creator, because it's important we all keep moving in the same direction. So I'm more than happy when I hear that a coffee shop opens up. That makes me excited. I like going, like Graham said, every coffee shop has its aesthetic. I love going to 7th Park and working from home and staying there for 5 hours, but I also love going to Warbler and feeling at home, like small little, they all have each aesthetic and stuff. But it's exciting to see the rise of popularity in coffee shops in Brownsville, and I love seeing them get creative with matcha drinks as well. Because now it's like, well, coffee shop, and now coffee shops are opening up and calling it something else with their subtitle like coffee and matcha, right? Coffee, matcha, and pastries. So it's kind of shifting directions. I don't think matcha is a trend. I think matcha right now is a staple. It's something that's here to stay, just like coffee did years ago.
Awesome, thank you. Sergio, what's next for Corralillo, Matamoros?
I mean,
you're underserved in Matamoros. Thinking, Brownsville has 200,000 people, and we have all these shops. I have to put them down on a list one day. And Matamoros has 1 million people almost, so it should be like you got to have like 30 stores open. So.
That's the dream, but I don't think we're gonna get to 30 shops in Matamoros. But obviously, I mean, we're continuously trying to grow. I mean, we're always trying to, innovate as well. Like Jimena said, we cannot stay behind on social media. That's one of the things. We have actually a team only for social media now, because if we stay behind, with all the new coffee shops that we have over there as well, we don't want to get behind, right? So we always try to look for trends, see what can we do, innovate in some stuff as well, which I think it's one of the main things that why we've been successful so far, and we've always been very constant. We always, like I said, we always try to be very, always try to maintain the drinks with good, with the good quality. If you go to the Corralillo Centro, if you go to Plaza Fiesta or 14th Street, or even on a restaurant where we have the Corralillo bar as well, you should have the same taste, right, in those areas. Obviously, sometimes it's going to change because of the equipment and stuff, but hopefully, we're going to continue growing. We're still looking for other locations over there as well, because there's still space to grow, right? But like I said, we cannot just go and open coffee shops.
You got to scale slowly.
Yeah, and then prepare for the scale as well. That's one of the reasons that we've been always. We also have a warehouse where we try to produce all our sandwiches, everything that we have there. We take them to other places because we have to maintain the good quality, right? Obviously, as well, we're always tracking with our providers, making sure that the beans are always in good quality, they're always fresh, which I think that's one of the best things that we have. Our coffee beans are always roasted. We always receive them with 1 week from them being roasted, so they're always going to be fresh. We have weekly deliveries on that, and yeah, just continue to go. And just going back to what Graham said, we're getting saturated over there as well, and in Brownsville as well. I've seen a lot of things, but it's not always negative. One of the things I remember when we started, we were struggling a lot with the maintenance of the equipment. I ended up learning how to maintain, how to repair my machines, because the closest person that could come was from Monterrey, and you had to pay everything. So right now, we've seen people that are trying to help us fix stuff whenever something broke. So we already have a technician over there in Matamoros that will come in, help us out, and try to get the equipment going on. So these are things that kind of help us a little bit as well. And I think everybody's benefiting as well on that part.
Awesome. We have a couple of minutes. Does anybody have a question? I know I can have another question, but I want to open it up to the audience. I don't know if we have a mic out there, but raise your hand and we'll figure it out. Do we have a question? Okay, Mr. Vela.
Jimena, your daddy's Rafael, one of my dearest friends, and Cram is the vice chair of our board.
Holy smokes.
So there's like 200,000 people that live in Brownsville, and y'all. So
We didn't coordinate
it just
this, I
occurred to me
swear.
as I stood up. I was like, wow.
Cream of
No,
the crop.
but so we're responsible for the workforce for the county, and so I wonder maybe if y'all can just reflect a little bit on what that journey has been like. What are the challenges? Because obviously you have to depend on really talented individuals to represent each of your brands and your companies. So can you just talk in general terms about what that's been like in Brownsville? What kind of pool, by the way, this segment, the cluster that you all represent in Cameron County is the second largest cluster. Healthcare is number one in terms of the numbers of individuals. There's 175,000 people in the workforce. 36,000 are in retail. So you have a huge prolific pool of individuals to choose from. But I thought maybe it would be helpful for the group here to maybe talk a little bit about what that experience has been.
Sergio, you said you had 37 employees, but that's over there. Right?
Yeah, it's over there. It's totally different from here from Brownsville, but I mean, obviously managing with that many people, and especially myself that I used to work for a nonprofit organization here in Brownsville. I never managed nobody at that time, at that point. So it was a challenge trying to deal with all the taxes out, everything. I mean, dealing with employees, who you hire, how much trust you can have to them. But it was a complete challenge once we started getting 3 employees, and then we started growing a little bit more. So it's been a challenge, and but we've been able to. I'm pretty much happy with a lot of the employees that we've had so far because a lot of them are students. I've had like 5 employees that actually go to school here are from Brownsville, but they live over there. So they come and study over there. And I think the main challenge that we have is maintaining all our teams. I think that's been a big challenge because of all the new coffee shops that they try to steal employees a lot of times. But I guess, the main advantage that we have is that we have a pretty good, basically our employees have a good time usually there. I mean, we understand a lot of things that could happen with them. If they cannot go one day, if they tell me in advance, that's not a problem. We'll try to get someone to replace that day at least. So we're very flexible with their schedule. A lot of times, if they're students, if they're full-time employees, we tend to be very flexible on that side. And obviously, we always try to compensate them well. I think that's been our main advantage, that we've been able to have a lot of employees for that much time. We actually, a lot of our employees have been there with us for 5 years already. Wow. So,
I'll be very
2?
realistic. My business, I only have around 5 employees, and they shift because it's a pop-up based, and I'm at the farmer's market or at other places. And a lot of them are students, and I basically train them with no experience. I wanted them to love being there, to love being behind the bar and making drinks. I never wanted it to feel like a burden for them. So I told them, once you step foot here, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna do this, but you need to do your job. And they love it, and I love them so much, and I'm very grateful that they've been able to help me this whole year. Some very small scale, but I'm learning as I go on managing, right, employees and being a boss and being, learning how to ask for help, I think was one of the things, because at first I wanted to do it all by myself. But now I luckily have around 5 employees that do a great job, and it's great.
Yeah, I think coffee shops have a pretty specific role in the workforce, and I think a lot of it, in my experience, is we're a good stepping stone, right? So we do have a lot of employees that are students as well, and I think that's an essential role for us, right? They can maintain a part-time position if that's what works for their school schedule. And I personally think it's important to kind of help a lot of these employees in their journey. So I try to make myself available if they ever need any sort of mentorship or advice, whether it's through school or what to take or when to take some time off for themselves or whatever the case is, while also taking the time to teach them the expectations that we have of customer interactions. I tell people, and when I was at Dodici as well, I would say this: the product is essential, service is more essential. If you miss the mark on making a latte one time, and your service is excellent, that customer will give you a second chance. If you make the best latte that person's ever had, but you're a jerk about it, they will not give you a second chance. So I try to teach them that pattern of interactions and that role that we play as an employee and as a coffee shop. So kind of keeping in mind that we're a stepping stone on their journey, and we've seen people graduate and go on to get their masters or work in social work or even open their own coffee shops. So just teaching whatever we can when we can.
Thank you all. I know Nathan's about to cut me off here. You all stick around. We have another panel coming up on all restaurant opening the challenges and opening a restaurant in Brownsville. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for participating. And maybe we'll check in next year with all three of you again here. We'll find another title for it.